All right, everyone, welcome back. So today's a really fun topic. We're gonna be talking about how to actually achieve financial independence and retire early with dividends. I'm gonna go over a great strategy that you guys can use even if you're in your 20s. It's gonna be a lot harder to retire in your 20s, but 30s, 40s, but definitely get started as soon as possible. As soon as you can start getting those dividends in, if that's 16, 18, then get in there. All right. So first of all, I do want to explain how dividends work, and I'll show you guys. Actually, I'm gonna show you guys here. What a dividend is, it's basically a company paying you for holding their stock. You can think of it as like like a premium or like an interest, and they'll pay you monthly, they'll pay you quarterly. Some pay twice a year, some pay annually. In Canada, most likely it's going to be quarterly and maybe monthly, depending on if you're holding real estate. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and show you TD, just because most of the videos are about web brokers. So I do want to just keep it consistent, so that I'm not giving you guys any recommendation on what exactly to invest in. Okay, so right here we see that the quarterly dividend yield, right, is $0.79 slash 3.87 cents. So what does that mean? That means this is a little confusing. The 79 cents is actually how much you guys are going to get on your quarterly dividend per share. But then you see the slash, the yield. That's not the yield per quarter. I know when I first started investing, I was like, oh, cool, I get almost 4% per month. That's insane, right? It's like 16% per year in dividends only. If you take into growth, I'm going to be rich in like a couple of years. The 3.87 is actually the yield for the year, right? So you're going to have to actually divide that by 4 if it's a quarterly dividend, and by 12 if it's a monthly dividend, to see how much you're actually getting percentage per month per quarter. The cool thing about dividends is they usually increase in percentage. So right now they're showing you a yield of 3.87 relative to the price it is right now. So that's why I've also added in the graph, because if you guys can see, it's this is a year-to-date graph. It started off well below 75. I think at one point it was like 51 in the last rolling 12 months, and now it's well over 80, right? So it's not like your yield changes the higher the stock goes if you already bought it at a lower rate. Okay, it only reduces the yield if you keep buying more when it goes higher. Okay, on top of that, we also have a dividend reinvestment discount, and also the dividend percentage increases, but I'll go into that a little later. Okay, so what is dividend investing? Basically, you're investing into these usually financials, real estate, and utility companies. Those are the ones that pay a little higher dividends, or a lot higher dividends, because they're more income focused. But the beauty of a stock is that it has value growth and dividend growth. Okay, and at the last point there, how to calculate dividends and how much you'll be making monthly. Again, you're just going to divide the yield by the amount of months or quarters that you're actually going to be getting paid out in. Okay, so if you guys stick till the end, I'm actually going to do a breakdown of how you can calculate not only how much money you need to put in to your investments to get you enough to live off, but you can actually calculate how much you'll need for the rest of your life to live off of if you maintain your cost of living the same. And you guys might be surprised that it's a lot lower than you thought. Okay, so there's some downside. First of all, before we get into these cool strategies, there's some downside to dividends. Okay, you do have to pay taxes if it's not on a registered account. If you're in Canada, that means a TFSA or RSP. Okay, whereas opposed to capital gains, you only pay taxes if you sell and it's at a profit. And dividends, even if you did nothing with them, you're still paying taxes on them. Okay. So I did put drip line. That's not a downside. My mistake. That's going to go into the upside there. But dividend decreases. So sometimes if a company is struggling, they'll cut their dividend. Sometimes they'll completely annihilate their dividend. Thankfully, that actually doesn't happen too often. Been investing for I think about 9 years now. Wow, 8 or 9 years now, and it's only happened to me once. Stock that I own. Most of them always increase. Okay. So most of the time, dividend increase. When prices are dropping, your dividend reinvestment plan buys you more shares at a higher kind of different dividend yield. And I'm also going to go into what a drip is. So, a dividend reinvestment plan you can set up with your broker. It automatically invests the dividends that you're receiving as long as you can buy at least one share. It'll invest it into the stock. Okay, so the stock itself will have a price, but the dividend reinvestment plan sometimes gives you a discount. So for all my Canadian friends, if you want to type into Google Canadian drip, I think primer or Canadian drip list, it'll show you all the stocks that have a discount. So what does that mean? Okay, maybe hold off on that until we finish. You can pause it and come back to this. So what does that actually mean, having a discount? So let's say I think the max is 5%, the minimum is 2%. Let's say, for example, I have a 4% dividend and I have a 5% drip discount. When the stock will be reinvesting and paying out their dividend, it's like I'm getting a free 9% yield instead of 4%. Okay, so on real estate stocks, for example, some of them I think they kind of pulled it down a bit, but some of them actually had a 5% discount. And real estate REITs are usually a lot like higher in paying out your dividend. So for example, if they had like an 8% dividend and then a 5% drip discount, you're getting a 13% return just on dividends alone. And if you take into consideration dividend increases across the years and prices that go up, you're going to be making a ton of money with that. One time I got so lucky with that, and then my company also got bought out. I made a nice 44% on top of whatever dividends I accumulated across the years. It was one of my best holdings. So definitely take this into consideration. Okay, so let's go into the actual calculation. All right. So if you want to know how much, let's say I want to quit my job, right? Like you're working your 9 to 5. You don't really want to start your own business. It doesn't really look cool, but you like the stock market, you like the equity market, you like the bond market, you like the ETFs, right? That's how you want to get rich, and you want to invest in houses as well. I have a rental property. I love it. Not so much landlording part, but the rental property is great. So how much are your expenses? You want to look at it, okay? So most of the time you don't really want to look at a mortgage, because if you are kind of looking to kind of retire, you are thinking that you've already kind of paid off most of the mortgage. Well, even if you have a partner. But if you are in a situation where you do want to retire, even with having a house and a family and everything like that, you're definitely going to have to jack this up a bit. But most of the time, if let's say your partner is working as well, then you guys can just split it in two, and they can calculate themselves. So right now, let's just say we're renting and we're also buying some food, and we can say that our expenses are $3,000 per month. Most of the time, it is between $2,000 and $3,000 per month in expenses. With the cost of living a little higher with like rent or mortgages, you're going to be closer to the 3,000 mark. If you have a bunch of kids and you're the sole provider for maybe a 2-income family, it's going to be a lot higher. But let's just say we're single and we got mortgage and we got a pretty cool middle of the road job, right? So our expenses are between 2,000 and 3,000. Let's just use 3,000. Okay, so you're going to divide by the dividend yield, and that's going to show you how much you need invested. Okay, so let me just grab a calculator here. So our dividend yield on the TD was, I think, 3.67. So let's say our expenses are 3,000 per month. Okay, so we're just going to multiply that by 12, and we'll get 36,000. All right, and then we're going to divide by the dividend yield. So, oops, my bad. So the dividend yield, obviously the 3.67, in case you guys make this mistake, 3.67 is a percentage, right? So we're gonna have to divide that by 100, but you can easily just put in a couple of decimals in there, okay? So we're gonna do 36,000 divided by 0.0367. We're gonna get 980,000. Okay, so yeah, it does look like a huge number at first, and you're gonna be like, oh my god, I'm never gonna get that money and everything like that. it's kind of really cool that when you're actually thinking about these kind of things, how much money you save. I started with just saving a couple thousand. Now I'm trying to save. My goal is to save at least 40,000 per year. The awesome part is as you're putting in these dividends, they start reinvesting for you, and then it's going to start actually making more than your 9 to 5 job. I think after about 10 years, the money that you deployed in the market, if you're focused on heavy dividend and growth investing, it's going to start to outpace the salary of your income. Unless you're in a lucrative vice president or sales job, then you don't really need that anyway. You're deploying a lot more than we are, right? Also, this 980,000, if you're investing in other stocks where it has like 8% dividend, 9% dividend, with the dividend increases, like this is just assuming that you're buying only this stock at $80 for the rest of your life, right? So let's say it's like, a 5% dividend, right? So then we're going to do 36,000 divided by, what I say is 5%, right? Drastically, it goes down from 980,000 to 720,000. So if you can average to 5%, it's going to be even less, right? On top of that, let's say we want to do the math on how much money we'll need for the rest of our lives to live off the dividends or to live off withdrawing only, a little bit. We have something called the 4% rule, okay? So let's go back to the example that we think that our expenses are going to be 36,000 per year for the rest of our lives. Maybe it's like 48,000 now. It's going to go down to 24,000 once you pay off your mortgage. Once you pay off, maybe you're living in somewhere else. Then you're going to kind of calculate that a little less, right? But let's just say it's 36,000. So what we're going to do is using the 4% rule, right? 100 divided by 4 is 25. So we're just going to multiply by 25. So 900,000. So let's say we never want to work a day in our lives. We're going to divide that by, we're going to divide it by 0.04 or times it by 25, and we're going to get 900,000. Now this 900,000, if we don't ever change our cost of living, this is how much money you'll need, and you can just retire, right? Because if you're usually getting what's called a 4% on average return on both dividends growth and dividend growth as well, so that every year if you're withdrawing 4% of this, right, then you're gonna have this money forever, okay, because of the growth. So obviously you want to that's like living on your bare minimum, living on just what you've calculated. So if if you're saving, let's say $40,000 a year, you want to get 900,000, right? Then you have 22 years, and then again in 10 years, you're also going to get salary raises and stuff like that. So you can start like chipping away at this. Something like 15 years is not unreasonable that you can just retire, right? So let's say you're 25 right now and you're heavily deploying money into the market, you're buying assets and something like that. Between 15 to 20 years, at worst, like 23 years, you can even choose to retire, right? But you can even do it in your late 30s, right? Maybe even early 30s if you have huge pay increases, if you're getting passive income, if you have rental properties and stuff like that. Okay, so it's really cool what we could do here. It's awesome. Basically, I did want to say a couple more things. The 4% rule. Let me just present again. The 4% rule, and even if it seems high, remember that you're gonna have pay raises, you're gonna have dividend growth, trip discounts, diversification, and also if you have a rental property. So with the drip discounts, you're gonna have higher than that 5%, that's 6%, right? So every percent that you're making higher, you're gonna be, shaving off another like 3-4 years before you can retire or before you can quit your job, whatever your goal is. The last thing you can do is what's called a foreign arbitrage. So you can move to a country with a lower cost of living And then you can actually retire extremely early in your life, especially if you're going to be a digital nomad. So if that's something that appeals to you, you can, let's say you're 18 right now watching this video, you can definitely mid 20s, just that's it. You can go do whatever you want. At that point, right, you don't really want to retire from life. At that age, you don't. It's not like you're just gonna be chilling and just watching TV all day. Maybe it's like things that you want to explore. Maybe you want to travel. Maybe maybe you want to make income sources by being an influencer or a travel blogger or whatever. That's more your style, and you don't want to be stuck in a desk or working from home during COVID. So, like for example, in Romania, where I'm from, the average I think expenses is like I don't know 1,000 or 1,500, probably dollars per month. So it's a lot less than here. Even less if you, let's say, pick Ukraine, it's a country next to the country I'm from of origin. I think it's like 300, 400 bucks or euros or something like that, which makes up like 600, 700 dollars, right? So those are some cool ones, especially because they're internet. You can have like unlimited internet for like equivalent of 3 USD. You can also live in like tropical countries, so down south. South America, Caribbean, I think some Pacific islands. Those are great, like cost of living, and you can go there and just retire early. Especially if you want to be an entrepreneur and you just want to work 9 to 5 because you want to go and launch yourself into your company. Definitely move. Get yourself like a US Skype credit, and then you can just move there, build your business. Only spend like 300 bucks a month. Maybe you'll find a different culture that you're way into, and you can move after you're a millionaire. You can come and you can help me out, and you can live wherever you want. Okay. All right, guys. So great to see you. I hope this helped you. If you guys have any questions, please put it down in the comments. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out my other videos on more investment tips and money management and how to invest. All right, have a great day.